All right, let's just jump right in. We're starting with the very first verse of one of the most incredible stories ever told. You know the one, Daniel in the Lion's Den. Now, this one sentence, it sets up a whole new government, a new king, and this political drama that's been captivating people for thousands of years. But it also hides a little historical puzzle that has had scholars scratching their heads for just as long. So let's set the stage here. Picture this. The year is 539 BC. The unbeatable Babylonian Empire, it's just fallen to the Medes and the Persians. There's a brand new superpower in town, and, first order of business is figuring out how to run this massive new territory. And that is exactly where our story kicks off. So the new guy in charge, a man named Darius, he appoints 120 of these satraps, or you could call them princes, to manage all the different regions. This was classic Persian strategy, a really smart way to control a huge empire. But here's the thing. While the number 120 is pretty straightforward, the name of the man calling the shots, well, that's where it gets complicated. And that brings us to the big mystery we're unpacking today. See, the book of Daniel is crystal clear. It puts a guy named Darius the Mede on the throne of Babylon. The problem? Pretty much every other source we have, we're talking biblical and historical, says a totally different man conquered the city. So that's the million-dollar question, right? If history tells us Cyrus the Great took Babylon, why does this eyewitness account in Daniel begin with King Darius? Did the author just get it wrong? Is this a major contradiction? Or is there something else going on here that connects these two powerful leaders? Let's dig into the evidence. And here's the puzzle, laid out side by side. On the one hand, you have the book of Daniel, written by someone who was there, naming Darius the Mede. But on the other hand, you have the prophet Isaiah, writing about this over 150 years before it even happened, and he specifically names Cyrus. And all the secular historians, they agree with Isaiah. So who's right? To figure this out, we kind of have to put on our detective hats. Who in the world was this Darius the Mede? Let's see what the historical records, and maybe more importantly, the lack of records, can tell us. Okay, so this is crucial. This isn't just some internal biblical debate. When we look at all the historical records outside the Bible, looking for a top dog king named Darius the Mede ruling Babylon right at this time, we come up with nothing. Zilch. This really deepens the mystery, and it's led to some really fascinating theories. So what are the leading ideas? Well, one is that Darius was actually a man named Gubaru, a general that Cyrus put in charge of the city. Another idea is that he was a temporary regent, sort of a placeholder ruler. And then there's the theory that Darius wasn't a personal name at all, but a royal title, kind of like Caesar or Pharaoh. But notice, all of these theories point toward one main idea. So how do we connect all these dots and make sense of this? Well, the solution isn't about picking one source and throwing the other one out. Instead, it's about understanding the complex way these ancient empires were actually run. The most likely answer is a system we call a viceroyalty. Think of it this way. Cyrus the Great was the CEO of the entire Medo-Persian Empire, the big boss. But for a major new acquisition like Babylon, he appoints a trusted regional manager, our guy, Darius, to handle the day-to-day operations on the ground. See, one is the supreme emperor, the other is the local king. Both can be true at the same time. And when you look at the timeline, it all just clicks into place perfectly. Isaiah's crazy prophecy comes true, Cyrus conquers the empire. Right after that, his subordinate, Darius the Mede, takes over the local government in Babylon. He's the guy Daniel is reporting to. And then, a little later, the supreme emperor, Cyrus, issues his famous decree across the whole empire. There's no contradiction at all, just two different layers of government at work. So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool historical puzzle, but why does it matter? Well, digging into this seemingly small detail actually unlocks a much, much deeper appreciation for the text and the world it's describing. So here's the bottom line. The mention of Darius doesn't make the book of Daniel less credible. It actually makes it more credible. It shows that the author knew exactly what he was talking about. He understood the complex politics of the Persian Empire. Daniel wasn't writing about the far-off emperor he'd never met. He was writing about his direct boss, the local ruler of Babylon, Darius the Mede. And this brings the whole story full circle. After seeing Daniel miraculously survive the lion's den, it's this local ruler, Darius, who is so completely blown away that he uses his power. He sends out a decree to everyone in his territory, commanding them to respect Daniel's God.
It just goes to show you the incredible ripple effect one person's faith can have, all the way up the chain of command.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? A single verse about appointing some princes holds this entire historical mystery and its solution. It leaves you with this final thought. What other little details, hidden in plain sight in these ancient texts, are actually keys to a much deeper understanding, just waiting for us to take a closer look?